Hello everyone and welcome back to Coniferia. In the previous episode we finally jumped in and built an international airport, and I'm overall pretty happy with the design. We've got an older, mainly domestic focused part, primarily accommodating smaller planes, and then we've got this newer, recently renovated and expanded international focused part housing medium-sized planes, as well as two separate runways, the original domestic one in a slightly lighter shade of grey and a newer darker one built in conjunction with the international terminal. Now, with my overall lack of airport knowledge, I really encouraged you guys to provide feedback and suggestions, and as always, you guys didn't disappoint. But I kind of feel I did. You see, things are not working out here at Coniferia International Airport. In fact, most of the airport doesn't even work. It seems that currently only 2 aircraft stands at the domestic terminal works. The rest simply doesn't. So I've read through comment after comment, and with the wonderful help of you lovely people, I know where to get started so that we can fix this mess and ensure the airport functions properly before jumping into some sweet detailing. Now, whether you're new or regular here on the channel, you are of course very welcome, as we are building the highly detailed region of Coniferia, a fictional place drawing inspiration from the US, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. And if you want to help out and see even more content, hit the like button and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future content. Thank you. Alright, so without further ado, it's time we start fixing some of these issues. Now, the first one I was a little surprised about. It's not one of the many things you guys commented. It's one I found by accident myself. And that is that none of these aircraft stands, besides the 2 I already mentioned, actually work. And it's not just due to one-way taxiways, which is another major issue I'll talk about in a second. It's actually because, if you remember from the first episode, the previous episode, I placed down one of these stands and then I used Move It to just copy-paste the same stand and align them perfectly. And what I've found at least is that they won't function if that's the way you place them, if that's the placement method. So I've just had to delete all of my stands and then place them one by one by, using the actual asset. So just grabbing one of these and then placing them. Then I can use Move It afterwards to correct them and manipulate them as I want, but they won't work if they're placed by copy pasting with the Move It. So that's an interesting little thing, which I've just fixed off camera. The next big thing, which is probably the more embarrassing one, I think I can show it. I don't know if you notice something here, but if you actually want to arrive at these gates as a plane, you're gonna have a serious issue because, of course, these taxiways are one way. It's quite obvious. I mean, working with airports, the one-way arrow is plastered into your eyeballs, and yet I didn't consider that in my initial build. So, as you guys can see, you can only depart from this side of the international terminal, while on these sides here you can actually arrive and depart. So that's, yeah, awkward is probably my best word for it. And to fix this, I know there are a couple of different solutions you can do, but I prefer to actually just add a secondary taxiway, and I'll just drag it out like so, leaving sort of having the same angle here, and then we've still got space here for maybe like a fuel depot or some hangars. And then of course I can come in here and I can actually reverse the direction, and now planes can actually choose to leave, which is fantastic. There's another issue though, and I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm just gonna give you 2 seconds. And if you can't, don't feel bad, because obviously I completely missed this when I built the airport. But if you're a pilot and you've got your plane gated here and you are clear for takeoff, but the towers tell you that you're actually supposed to use this runway here, the older one, because that's where you've got an open spot, then you've actually got a bit of an issue, because you can't really enter it unless you could like cruise along along this runway and then depart here, which I don't think you'd be allowed to, because I mean, this is for taking off and landing, so that really would mess up with the schedule of the flights of the airport. So what we of course need to do is we need to connect this one to the runway over here and allow for that connection. And to do that, we're just gonna draw out from this node here. We're just gonna cross like so, and then we'll just go straight down here. And we might need to do a little terrain manipulation. At least we won't be able to avoid just fixing the fence up here. We've got some props as well, because yeah, I did do a bit of detailing in the first episode. So I mean, despite I guess the airport not working, which I mean some people would probably consider that like a fundamental issue, I did manage to do a little detailing. But yeah, I mean that's me, right? Now these are what I consider like the fundamental issues having been fixed now, but you guys came with much more really awesome feedback and suggestions, so I'll address two other ones. One is of course the actual realistic length of a runway. You guys pointed out it would be in excess of 2 kilometers, and that's really not where we are at. If we use our tool here, we can see that we are, you know, almost 1.5 kilometers, so a bit short of 1 mile. So I know that's not realistic, but it's like I mentioned in the previous episode, it's a decision I've made because the scale is just going to be a little too out of my liking if we're to have like a realistic runway. Because if we have a look at the airport currently, it's basically the same size of Port Douglas and much of Pine Harbor. And the thing about Port Douglas and Pine Harbor is that the scale of these cities are already reduced to fit into the context of City Skylines. The scale of Pine Harbor downtown is quite small, but it's also small because I'm fitting it into the context of the game. And one of the reasons why is, I guess you can just guess it, is that I need to make everything a smaller version of what it would look like in real life. Otherwise my computer is gonna just go up in flames if I attempt to really catch some real life scale. You guys just saw the lag attempting to look at the city, and trust me, the FPS is not any better over here in Port Douglas. So I am going to keep the current length of the runways, and then if it becomes an actual ISO, I might expand them. And another comment also related to realistic scale is that you guys mentioned that the service roads are probably at places a little too close to the runway. And I do intend to fix that at some point. But I think currently I've got some kind of bigger fish to fry. So it's not something I'm going to mess with just now. Yeah. Now with all that said and done, I kind of feel like a kid who had his first history class lesson and feel he knows everything. So I'm just going to freeze the camera here, and I'm just going to hold this picture still for 10 minutes.
10 minutes later.
That would be a boring video. 10 seconds, so that you guys can have a look and let me know, have I forgotten something? Like, is there a terminal or like a airplane stand that is not going to function with the current setup? What am I missing? Because I trust you guys a lot more than I trust myself. So pause this and let me know. Now it's going to be very interesting to see if my airport works correctly now. I guess that is the first criteria I should really strive to achieve. So I'm just gonna hit play here, speed it up, and we'll see if we get some activity through some of the airplane stands that have been very quiet so far. Okay, so I haven't seen like a ton of activity. We've got 2 jetaway planes getting served here. Someone is just thought she was gonna walk onto the runway. So not a ton of activity, and no activity over here yet, but I mean, that doesn't have to just be because of my incompetence. It could just be that there isn't too much volume right now, right, of planes. I mean, we got another one landing here. So yeah, things are definitely happening at Coney Ferry International Airport. It's just going a little slow. But I think it puts us, puts us in a position where we can start some detailing, because of course lots of things are still missing here. So I think that something I'd actually like to start off with, and I'm not sure this is the best way to start, but it's something I really want to do, is in the previous episode I mentioned that I would like to kind of see if I can create a construction site so that it looks like the renovations to these terminals is ongoing, and that the actual plan is that the remaining terminals here serving domestic flights is also going to be renovated to this new modern style. So hopefully this is something that we can actually simulate by using some of the construction assets I have available. We've got this crane here that rotates with the wind, which is very cool. So I think I'm just gonna pause the game and then we'll start detailing this up. I'd like 2 big cranes to work in this area because that's just gonna look cool. But of course they shouldn't be able to like hit each other, if that makes sense. I'll add one here, and then I'll have a smaller crane as well work down here. Lots of cranes because it looks really cool. That's like the primary reason, I guess. We'll have this type of crane as well, but we'll just add every single crane I have available. I think that's kind of the main takeaway now. Do we have like more cool cranes? We've got this one, and I don't have much of a plan for how I'm going to make it look like this is under construction. I'm hoping that maybe a bit of scaffolding could sort of help, but we're gonna try it out, adding a bunch of different props. Hopefully it's gonna look realistic, look like a construction site. I think usually construction sites do look a bit like a bit messy, a bit chaotic. So if we are hopeful, then by just achieving a bit of chaos, we should be good. But it's big if. So I'll just try and add a bit of scaffolding here, and then something I like to do is just browse through some of my props and checking, okay, what do I have available to me, and then of course just going ham with all the machines and all the props and whatnot. All right, that is certainly interestingly looking. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm not sure how successful I was in conveying the idea that it's a renovation of this concourse, but I mean, I did use my patented technique of just throwing every prop I have at the issue and hope that the ensuring chaos looks all right, and I think it does. So let's just happily move on to hotels, because we're of course going to need we're gonna need a parking garage first, because we don't have any parking yet, and we're gonna have lots of surface parking, don't worry, but we're gonna start with a parking garage. And we've got this brutalist looking thing. Pretty sure this building has no soul, but it doesn't need a soul, it just needs parking for all our car dependent citizens, so that's perfect. For hotels, I would like to create my own hotels. I've downloaded these blocks here, block services, that enable us to actually simulate real, hotel DLC hotels, which is a pretty cool thing. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can add like some. This one is cool and very drab and boring looking, but it does have some Japanese signage, and I can't be bothered covering that up. We've got this Kafka hotel. We could add this one. Maybe create like an interesting shape of it. Yes, ideally we'll have one more building of some sort to act as like a hotel. Dorset City, this one looks very hotel-ish as well, so I think we're gonna grab that. And let's just align it with this building here, the other hotel. Just gonna flip the whole thing around and see if that's a better look. And I think it is. I think it looks a little better this way. Because maybe we can even play a bit with the shapes here so that it feels like it aligns a little better with the curvature of the road here. There you go, guys. We've got a hotel. Now, how are you gonna get from the 6th floor of this parking garage to your hotel, or the other way around? I mean, I guess if you park here with your actual car, you're probably departing for somewhere. But if you've got a rental car that you're using, you might want easy connection to the hotel. So let's see if I've got a connector of some sort. Like a sky bridge, enclosed bridge designed to connect two buildings. Perfect. We'll need a super basic road to go around the parking garage because it's got some entrances over here as well. See if we can upgrade this to like a 3-laner. We can. And then we'll adjust the corners here so that it's obvious that this is essentially just a turning lane we've got going here. Just do a little adjustment. Just doing some very, very simple markups here, nothing fancy. We got that covered. Now let's see if those service blocks are any worth. I haven't actually used them yet. So we've got Spa Resort, Ocean Resort. So I guess our hotel here near the airport is probably like 3 or 4 stars. Maybe 4 actually. Conference Hotel. I wonder what these hotels actually need to be successful though. There's a city hotel, there's a boat hotel, and we've got a mountain lodge. So I think the 4-star conference hotel is probably what, I mean, best represents a building like this. So I think we're just gonna go with that actually. And we'll just drop this service block into the building like so. And we'll add some simple paths. Just some simple paths throughout. Adding some simple detailing here. I want to try and see, you know, I wanna go with like a less is more approach here. So I'm hopeful that adding just a small amount of detail will actually add a lot to the build. It's something I'm working on, at least just reducing the amount of detailing I'm doing, or at least making it a little easier to accomplish. I generally like how this hotel turned out, but I think it might just be a tad too close to the terminals. I did a little Googling and I can see that airport hotels in general are naturally very close to airport terminals, but mine is literally right next to the terminal. So I'm thinking that, I am going to try the very specific maneuver of attempting to relocating the entire hotel. Just like this. Wink. Is it gonna work? Sort of. Can we move it just a bit closer to the highway? I think this is going to do. Yoink. I think that's a bit of a better location. It was a little too dramatic having it placed right here, I feel. Of course, I will then need to adjust my parking garage here, so I could just turn it maybe this side around. And I've got roads and stuff that doesn't really make any sense anymore, so that's great. It's a great idea to place the hotel wrong in the first place, guys. I can highly recommend that approach. It's gonna make it very easy down the road. But hopefully we can move this easily. I say that, but yeah, not likely. So I've just added another parking garage here. Made it a smaller asset overall by just grabbing the large one here, turning it into a procedural object and just adjusting the size a bit so that it's a bit of a different look. Kind of like this. I've also changed the type of road to one that's a little more ordinary and not as improvised looking, and I feel that this area is turning out pretty nice. I'd like to add a bit of detail to the actual airport now, and funnily enough, we're gonna use like a vanilla prop or decal this time around, because we've got these, we've got these aprons available to, there they are. We've got these aprons available to us, and they're basically just like big concrete fillers. And you might feel it's odd of me saying, but it's just a wonderful addition to the game. It adds so much flexibility, and it's something that I can really feel in my Crystal Reef County series in particular, because this was sorely missing from the vanilla game, at least if you ask me. So having this available to us is a great addition. We're gonna cover up much of the grass here, but not everything, because I do like some grass poking through. For instance, this I feel looks pretty nice. It's better than if we just kind of cover up the whole thing. Over here, I'd like to have some extra like airport utilities, maybe even some hangars. So I'm going to add just a few more aprons. Then we're going to remove all the trees here. We can add in some detailing later, but preferably not trees within the actual airport grounds. Just some bushes, as I've done so far over here. We should have some hangars available to us. So let's go in here and check. Not in here. Where are we? Here you go. Some big hangars. So I'd like to just place a few of these. And maybe we should just expand the airport district ever so slightly, just to ensure that we actually have all the ground that we want to use. And that worked terribly because it terraformed it to a different height, but that's not unfixable. Not sure why it actually did that, or how it calculates the height it wants to set the district to. Anyways, it's a quick fix, and we're back to placing down some of these hangars here. So if we place a couple of big ones, maybe 3, and then a small one as well. And we'll just kind of drop the small one a bit back here. That's perfect. We'll grab another apron. They are really showing their use in a situation like this. And there you go. And then I think we're just going to move these hangars a bit so that we align with the outline of the apron here. And then we are going to adjust our fence. And we're gonna adjust some of all the bushes and stuff here. Should probably not be growing back here. I mean, I don't mind this area out here being a bit of a wilderness that isn't cut down, but on the actual pavement, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's a great idea. All right, let's adjust the fencing here a bit as well, and I'll just zoom out to see if this is the scale we want to work with. And I think that looks kind of nice. We got a big area down here we can work with as well. We could have like if I move this fence, I can do that in a short second. But first I'd like to see if we could fit in this aviation fuel station as well. And we can. maybe we can even fit in some hangars as well down here. I guess I'll just be placing them normally. I don't trust my move with copy paste currently. It's given me a few issues, as I talked about in the beginning. So we'll just move down a few hangars down here. And they are of course rather small. So maybe we should see if I've got like a smaller taxiway. I think I have some custom ones that I might be able to use. I've got this one, which is a smaller scale. And does it connect correctly with the node? It does. So that is that's wonderful. Now these are of course not functional, so it doesn't really matter how they turn. So I'll just we'll just do like this, I feel. I think that's fine. Then we'll need a service road here to connect up. Or a fuel depot. And I'll just add some random stuff now. Just random detailing, basically. Let's see if we can adjust this ever so slightly. And this is lined up pretty fine. We're gonna grab the aprons so that we can fill this in. Perfect. Grab some of our shrubs. And I've got a few different prop versions as well of grass. Let's see if we can find some of the shrubs over here that I've used these. They have like a darker shades, so that's nice. It helps break it up a bit. And I'd like this area over here to just be a bit wild, some wilderness, not wilderness, but a little more bushy. It's certainly not managed in any way, shape or form. But these bigger bushes are not, there are none of those to be found within here because they are cut down if they were to actually grow among like all the airplane traffic. What I do have are some of these really small ones here. Let me know if that is actually realistic or if even these would be cut down to, I guess, avoid some kind of danger. Not really sure how they're dangerous, but I imagine that security levels for airports are very high in like all regards, also for stuff like this. Can't help but wonder that I should actually drag this whole thing closer to the highway to really utilize the space a little better. But it's gonna be for another time in that case. In here though is a pretty good spot where we could add some service vehicles, because the airport is of course has to be serviced by a host of different vehicles. So I'll just see if this fence makes any sense as a good fit. Yeah, I think it's okay. So maybe we should have some kind of industrial building, or a building that sort of looks like a warehouse where some of the vehicles could actually be stored or be repaired even. Do I have something that's a good fit? Of course, none of this is actually zonable, so it's a little hard to see how the buildings would actually look. I'm looking for like something that could work as like a workshop of sorts. A place where stuff could be repaired. Let's just try and use this. Oh, that's pretty good actually. Then we need the airport vehicles, and I'm sure I could be searching for things, but I only remember the catering vehicles that I've downloaded. So here it is. You're gonna get great food on your flights from Conifera. That's for sure, because there are lots of catering vehicles here. Maybe some police. Should probably use like a custom asset for that, like airport security forces or whatever, but don't really have any currently, so this will just have to do, I feel. And I feel like adding something down here in this end, and I don't know why, and I don't know what it would actually be doing. But just some kind of industrial looking building, maybe like an older one of some sort. Repair shop. For what is like the good question, but one which I can't really answer. Let's just let's try this building here. See if I can add this down here. And I'm gonna need a vehicle of some sort to place here. Do they have a couple of utility trucks driving around? They've got a few employees, of course, that would be parked here. But they wouldn't take their personal vehicle in here, of course, so we're just gonna delete that again. Oh, we've got these as well, which we need to place randomly somewhere down here, of course. Because they are also serviceable vehicles, right? That are gonna need some maintenance once in a while. That's nice. Just gonna add a few more. Detour, we're going back here. And what are we actually... Oh, we got some terminal signs. Have we actually placed some of these? No? Let's do that as well. So we've got Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 are here. So they are primarily domestic. And we've got 3. Can we actually place it down here? Down below. Oh, sorry, this is arrivals. So we've got 3. How many do we actually... We've got a few up here. Alright, so we've got 3 here, and we've got 4 here, and now we've got a real issue because I've run out of terminals and I don't actually have like one to PO. Let's move on. I'm just gonna flee from the problem, not gonna solve it. Let's can I grab this cool road I've used? No, I can't. Come on. There we go. Just add it out here as well. Go to 80, and we will go to 80, and then I wanted to place something out here, but I kind of lost track. We'll place some Audi Q2's rapid response vehicles just because. And the police vehicle. And that's it. Then we're gonna fence the whole thing in. And that is a very, very random small build. But they are always fun, so why not? And as we zoom out, it probably looks like it's something important, something that makes sense, I suppose. Let's see. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it makes sense, and it's also at a weird angle. So can we just do this? There we go. That's a little better. I guess it adds some flair, but I have no idea what it is, and I probably should know, seeing this is an airport and everything has to serve a very specific purpose. I'm going to add a ton of these stain decals throughout. And as we zoom out and I start adding these, this is when I realize just how massive this entire area is. And like we've talked about, the scale is even small. I mean, compared to real life, this is nothing, you know. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for you guys out there building like full-sized realistic airports in the game. So something I feel we're actually missing is like just parking for planes, like plane parking lots. You know what I mean, right? Plane parking lots. But yeah, I've noticed that major or bigger airports, they will have like empty spaces where planes can sit for like an extended period of time. Maybe they've got like I don't know if it's called like a layover, but if they are to be, you know, put on pause just for a little while, then they've got to have somewhere they can be, well, parked basically, and we don't really have that. We have the hangars, of course, but I don't feel that's enough, so I'm trying to see if I can make a bit of extra space here for some plane parking spots, at least for smaller planes. So we'll try a few of these and see if they fit. They don't really fit. Nah, they are too close. But if we remove this road here, I end up removing everything now. That's fantastic. Anyways, if we do this, and then we just bring this down a bit, then we've got at least a few spots here for parked planes. And with that bit of detailing wrapped up, I think this concludes this episode. Obviously, there's much more we can and should do here. We still need lots of parking. We need other amenities as well. We need even more detailing. But I think we've gotten a good chunk of the way in this episode. First off, we've fixed the functionality of the airport. I've actually seen departures from these airport stands as well. So these gates, these international flight gates, which is awesome. And as you guys can see, there's plenty of activity currently without it being completely ridiculous. And we are not turning an income at all, which is disappointing, but oh well. I'm just happy to see it work and to see it take much more shape during this episode due to all the detailing we added. So if you stuck with me for this long, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And as I mentioned earlier, if there are things that I've forgotten that just don't make sense at all and really need to be fixed, or you have other input, please let me know in the comments. You guys' initial comments on the first episode certainly has helped me really improve this. So you guys got as much a stake in this as I do. which is awesome. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be seeing you guys in future episodes. And yeah, take care and have a good night. Bye.